Hey y'all,
Hey y'all.
welcome.
Welcome to Giggles and Goals. I'm Leonie.
And I'm CRYSTAL-DIOR.
And
We're so
today,
excited.
yes, I always think about starting off with the topic, but we don't do that anymore, right?
We
We don't
don't.
start for the
New
topic?
day.
Okay. Okay. But okay, so let's get into our one-liners then.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Yes. Okay. So, I guess based off of the one-liners, how you find out what the topic is.
Yes.
So, I may not be the best dancer, but I'm the queen of pivoting, turning missteps into better opportunities.
Holla, 2-step, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine is one thing I'm always willing to do is drive forward because I refuse to be left behind.
Absolutely. Listen, full speed ahead.
Listen,
Gas
so
in the pedal, foot on pedal, all the way. Pedal to the metal.
absolutely.
That's what it is.
Last week we talked about it not being too late to
Mm-hmm.
start, do, redo, try again, begin.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
too late. And so this week we're kind of jumping on that same subject, but we're talking more about what does that look like? How do you prepare for it?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know when to pivot or how to pivot? So
Exactly. Because it's not just willy-nilly. Pivoting, I learned that last year, pivoting is a strategic process. Is you don't just be like, I'm gonna do something else. And we'll get into that today. So before that though, we want to
yes,
do Who Said That?
let's do Who Said That? Go ahead.
And it's my turn today.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we cannot direct the wind, but we can adjust the sails. Okay, so hints.
Okay.
It's a girl. It's a woman.
Okay.
She's a legend. She has big hair. She's Southern. She is a musician.
Shaka Khan.
No. Is Shaka Khan like Southern?
I have
thought she
no
was from
idea.
Chicago. I thought
No,
she was from Chicago.
I have zero idea. Okay.
Oh, okay. And then
Beyonce.
no, she is in the country space.
Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Dolly. I love Dolly Parton.
I love her too.
R.I.P. to her husband.
My hair's not big enough,
passed.
but it's giving Dolly today.
Yeah, me too. And her husband just passed away. So if you're listening to this, Polly, we give our condolences. I think they were together like over 6 decades or something.
Yes, like forever. And then she doesn't look as old as she is. So
it was like last year she did a like football halftime performance with the Dallas Cowboys. And she had on like the 2-piece cheerleader outfit.
Yes, she's so cute. She's like, forever Dolly. Just a petite little cute thing. Like, listen, sexy is a lifestyle, and I'm here for it.
For her, at her 70-something-year-old age, her in that 2-piece, I'm like, you better get it, girl.
Yes.
Get it, girl.
Okay. I had another Who Said That, but y'all wasn't going to have you guess because the clues were going to be too hard. Okay. But I like this quote. I think it's better fitting for the episode.
Okay.
It's by Eric Rice, who wrote The Lean Startup. It says, A pivot is a change in strategy without a change in vision.
That's good.
It's really, really good. Love his book. It's really, really great for like actually starting a business or starting a product without wasting a lot of money and time.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Let's jump in to the topic of today.
Let's jump right in.
If you haven't guessed it, we're talking about how to redo, how to relaunch, how to start now. And the one thing that we want to stress is that the greats, the ones who are millionaires, billionaires, the ones who everyone aspires to be, they had failures before they got to their big success, but they studied, they adapted, and they applied whatever strategies that they learned from other pros. So that's what we want to talk about. Like, how do you watch and learn? Yeah. And
pivoting doesn't have to just be from a failure. It's when you get enough information, you realize that there's another direction that's best suited for what you're aiming for. That's best suited for you to walk in your vision. It's okay to pivot. It doesn't have to be a catalyst from a failure.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. But I think being mindful of the fact that you learn a lot from failing. So don't be afraid to fail.
Absolutely. Yes. And the biggest message, I think, when it comes to pivoting, when there is a failure, is when you keep going. When you fail, when you stop moving, you fail when you stop doing. So even if you have something that gave you results that were less than desirable, you still keep going because you will get the win that you're working for. And I'm speaking to myself on that as well.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's about, I guess you could say you never fail if you define failure differently. Like if for you failure isn't a thing. It's just, oh, this didn't go the way I planned, but I learned this from it. Then there is no such thing as failure. There's just lessons. So if you're like, I don't like the word failure, okay, well then you don't fail. You're just learning. So I just graduated from that trial. Let me move to the next thing. It doesn't have to be
and it does feel like graduation.
We are in the midst of our pivot here on Giggles and Goals. So our last year, I wouldn't say it was a failure at all, even though we had a lot of frustrations along the journey. Like we had technical issues like every single week.
All the time.
Like every day. And if it wasn't one thing, it was another. You know what I mean?
Right.
We had scheduling issues. We had just a lot of life that lifed for both of us individually and with the podcast. But we're like, well, how do we pivot? Like, how do we still are dedicated to this vision? Like you're saying, like we still have the same mission. How do we change how we achieve it? How do we do better? So what do we do, Leonie? Tell us what we did.
So part of it was forced. So the pivot with us being virtual, like, so if you're on listening in, nothing really has changed for you. But if you're watching on YouTube, then we're in a different similar setup, but I live in a different place now. And we never had the idea of we're not going to do it, but it's like, how do we make it work? This is a new circumstance. So how do we do that? And then the next pivot is we had a year of about 20 something episodes. So we did like from January till December, between filming and setting up and actually doing the episodes and, so on and so forth. We learned a lot from what from the episodes we did and the feedback we got and the viewership and comments and all that stuff. And from that, we're like, okay, we know that this is like our pilot year. And what did we learn from this? And what we learned in our research is looking at other podcasters in the industry that we are speaking on, sharing our thoughts on. A lot of them do well with interview setups. And so we are taking from that, doing the research and, not just stopping with just trying things over and over and over again and like hoping that it works, but being informed with what we're doing. And so we are going to start introducing interviews with small businesses. And because ultimately, even though it's not an entrepreneur podcast, I think it's like there's entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. So no matter what it is, it's for ambitious folks.
Yeah.
And
with goals.
With goals, whether you're in a job or you're working for yourself, you can still carve out your own lane and wherever you're doing. And we want to help bring people on to help share their stories with that because our wells are only so deep. And so we want to dig deeper with other people.
Yeah. And we came to this strategy or this pivot, like Leonie was saying, we looked into people who are doing well. What are they doing? And we noticed a lot of like podcasts are focused around interviews. Even if it's just like TikTok, like I see a lot of TikTok interviews, entrepreneur, Trevor Noah, he's big on interviews, The Breakfast Club, literally centered around interviews. And the thing about any niche, we know our stuff, but we're not the expert on everything. We haven't worked in every industry, right? We haven't had every business concept go well or not go well. So pulling on others' knowledge is like, why weren't we doing this before? And so I'm excited.
And it just takes the brain power off of us. And it's like, let's just have a good conversation, which is the best part about doing a podcast in general.
Yeah. So we're excited. So the way we even got to the interview like lane was I just randomly put it on Threads. Like I have a Threads account.
That's right. Now, Threads is popping, right now. Threads is for real popping. I love it too.
Safe.
It's so positive.
Yes.
It's like everybody's uplifting. It just doesn't feel like, I hope it stays that way. I really like Threads.
I don't know if it's even just the algorithm because you're putting out positive, they're aligning you with positive. But people really engage.
No, it's like that. I think I did try to post something. Wasn't even a negative thing, but a word that I used was like, goes against what they allow. So you need to change this. You need to change something in this or change this word, or it's not going to be.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's meant to be like that.
Well, I love that. And I like the people. I've never been a Twitter person, like ever, even before people were like, not
right.
Like,
never,
ever. Like, for years, I just couldn't get into Twitter. I don't know why. I just couldn't get into Twitter. But Threads is like just enough of that energy for me. But people actually talk to you on there. And it'll link straight to your Instagram. Y'all they're not paying me for this. I'm going to stop. Okay. So.
Right. But I mean, just honestly, it's also honest opinions. It's like,
yes.
we enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
But the reason I said that, because what we're going to talk about later with our next subject. But so anyway, I just roundly put out there like, hey, we're thinking about doing interviews on our podcast, like who has a business and would like to talk to us. And when I tell you, I got like 50 replies.
That's so good.
To people saying, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. Like, tell me about your podcast. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we sent out like questionnaires. People completed them. They took the time to complete them. I
know. People were so serious. First of all, if you're listening to this and you applied, or thank you so much. And thank you for taking us seriously.
I love it.
We're a new podcast. We take this seriously. And so we're glad to have people, like-minded people that are going to come here soon.
Yeah. So we went through the questionnaires. We didn't pick everybody. So those of you who were picked, it's because you're special. Okay. So we went through the list, and we have a really exciting lineup for you all of interviews, different genres, different backgrounds. They live in different places. Like, it's a very diverse
industries. Yes.
Very diverse group of entrepreneurs that we're going to interview starting in a few weeks.
I'm so excited, actually.
We're excited. And so like, we're just excited about that dynamic. And honestly, if we weren't virtual, we might not have ever got to this point, if we're being honest, because doing interviews in person in the same space, it would have just been such a complicated thing.
So hard, especially with the issues we were having just with us two. It's like, good Lord, it was a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back and listen to it.
Y'all, listen, we got y'all's comments.
Anybody who comes this year, and if you were here last year, day oneers, listen, we got something special for
the
you.
real ones. DM us. We'll send you something. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
But so I mean, the goal for us was, this is like another pivot. You know, we're gonna see how interviews do. We're gonna give it our all, and if at the end of that we have to pivot again, we're gonna pivot again, because we're dedicated to the mission. And
I got something to say about that. Like, I got something to say about that, because anybody who's thinking thoughts about that's too much pivoting, I got something for you at the end.
You have to keep moving until you find what works. And I think when people stay in a spot that doesn't work just because of ego, or they don't want to, okay, you're not going to be the billionaire, because most billionaires had to pivot. Oprah had a lot of careers. She's tried to think about any person you know. They tried a lot of different lanes before they picked the lane that they're like, this is my lane. So we gonna do what we got to do, because we're dedicated to the mission, which is getting out the message to all those who want knowledge about this. How do we share it with you? So we're gonna find the best way to share it with you. So
and just want to cover this part of it. This is strategic. It's like going back to what I said in the beginning. Your when you pivot, it's not just off of like a feeling. And I'll talk about that more later, but I want to get into the strategy of this, where it's like we're conducting structured experiments to test how interviews trend on our channel. Like Crystal was saying, if based on the research, we'll pivot. The goal of pivoting is to find the right podcast model for us with the right market fit. And so we'll keep you posted as we learn. This is definitely not, we're going to be testing and measuring along the way. And I have a good feeling that it's going to be, it's just, first of all, going to help us with more in-depth content. And I think people are going to enjoy it. Other podcasts that go along with this are The Break with Patricia Bright, who's all about business and finance. So she pops out whenever she wants to pop out and do a podcast, because, she's a girly now where she don't have to do a whole lot very often. But when she feels like popping out with a podcast, it's an interview podcast. And one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to all the time, I have to do it in chunks because they're so long, is The Diary of a CEO. He has millions of followers. He is very, very popular. And all of his all of his podcasts are interviews. And so, I'm really excited. Also, Shaq, the one that we're going to list, and in this segue, Shaq has the big podcast, or the big one. I forgot the name of the podcast. His is interview style. So
I mean, a lot of the big ones are, and I'm excited about it. And honestly, I think we have to remember that we are podcasters funding this on our own, making this happen on our own. A lot of those successful podcasts have like teams behind them that are doing market research and figuring out, like what type of audience likes how you look versus. We're learning with you all. So we're getting this data and this research as we're going. We are building this car as it's moving. And so that's a journey in itself. So when we're big and we're our podcast is all over the world, which it will be because we're speaking it. Okay.
Yes.
You all can look
affirmations.
back at these. Yes, you guys can look back at these beginning stages. They could be okay, this is how they did it, right? So we're documenting this journey for you who want to one day do a podcast too.
So, exactly. It's the behind the scenes in front of the scenes at all times.
Yeah. But that makes me lead to our first little case study or interview that we want to dive into, which was T-Pain and Shaq. They're on a podcast. And T-Pain was sharing how Shaq was a big influence in his success and how he started, I think he said in 2018, he started researching what it means to be a business owner, how to be successful. What does he need to do? And I like that about T-Pain. Like, he pivots about, like, even his music, he pivoted.
I love T-Pain. People give him a hard time for no reason.
No,
he's awesome.
legit. Yeah. And so he studied Shaq, and he studied how Shaq has created this huge empire that most of us don't even really know the depth and the width of. Like, Shaq owns like everything. And then when you're like just randomly driving down the street,
he owns everything
Shaq.
He does. That's one thing I took a note from when T-Pain was like, he does everything. There's no like you could borrow Shaq. It's like whatever Shaq does, it's his. Whatever industry or whatever partners. Yes.
He partners. So he's not just letting a company pay him what, I don't know,
just to use his likeness. Right.
He's like, no, how are we partnering? He wants money on the front and back end. Right. Same with Snoop Dogg. He mentioned Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg doesn't just put my face on these Cheetos. Snoop Dogg's like, I want $1 from every bag sold. You know what I mean?
These are my bag of Cheetos. Is my flavor. All sold sales and proceeds go to me from this or something like that. I don't know exactly, but yeah.
So they don't
sidebar. Have you seen Martha on Netflix?
What Martha? Oh, her show. No,
Martha. No, her documentary.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, you gotta watch it.
I heard about it.
Yes.
I heard about it. Martha and Snoop is a whole case study in itself.
When you see how they come together, it's so funny and it's so cool. We should talk about it. That's when you talk, we should put her on here because talk about a pivot. Oh my God. Okay.
She was in federal prison. Okay. And this woman is back on top like nothing happened.
Like, well, I mean, something you could tell her life is not the trajectory it was on because she was the first female billionaire. Yeah. And then it feels like that whole situation was just trumped up for her. I can't say for sure that it was like, I believe that she deserved to go to jail based on the documentary.
I mean, I haven't watched it, but I mean, she's still rich.
I'm not crying
fine. Over her jail time.
I'm not. She was I'm not going to give it away, but listen, she's got a beautiful many acre garden. She's fine.
But yeah, I think what I loved about that interview was T-Pain like acknowledging, like, even though he's T-Pain, like that man had dollars on dollars on dollars, he still could learn something from someone else.
Yes.
You know, and he was like, let me see how Shaq is doing this. Like, you'll see Shaq's face on random things, okay? Sports cars that he can't fit in, Cheetos, pizza, energy drinks, Marilyn Monroe. Like, you know, like Shaq, and to know that he doesn't just...
He diversifies.
Like that man will do it. If he sees us making money, he's like, hey, put me on. And I respect that.
And so going back to like when T-Pain, he was making money, I think during the time when he said he was following what Shaq does, he was maybe struggling a little bit. You know, there's variations of struggle. But at least maybe he could have been plateauing. So it doesn't matter what you do, eventually it's going to plateau. Especially when whatever you're in is really the market is getting saturated, or the competition gets more stiff, you will eventually start to pull back if you're not ideating and learning more and applying new tactics.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was a music artist, you know, and so he still is, but I don't think that's his bread and butter. You know, like I think all his business.
Oh. Go ahead. I'm like, you're talking about T-Pain, right? So the thing about T-Pain that is so amazing when you talk about pivoting, he has pivoted. He is actually a very underrated pivoter because he's super in the gaming streaming space now. And he even said at another interview that he makes more money during streaming than he did in his entire music career.
See, pivot.
Yes. And then so Shaq in that same interview was like, I like what you're talking about. I want to know what you do about streaming. You follow me for business advice and how to, reshape your systems. I want to follow you for how you did it in streaming, the way he was able to go from music to streaming and succeed that way and be making more money in that space.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is, like I said, underrated because there's still like streaming is popular. It pops out every now and then when it's like something super mainstream. But streaming, like Kai Cenat, them people is making like
listen,
crazy
that man
money.
was out on the red carpet. Okay, like he's on commercials. Like, he is everywhere. So it's definitely something. You know, another random pivoter. I don't know if it's quite a pivot. He's maybe functioning in two lanes. Jason Derulo.
Oh, what is he doing?
He owns car washes.
Okay,
the ones you just drive through and you vacuum yourself. I hate those.
Like
he did an interview and he was like, people think my money comes from music. He was like, my money, more than 75% of his income is from car washes.
That's amazing. How many does he own?
I don't remember, but like more than 5. I know that.
Okay.
Car washes.
That's amazing. And that's what I'm saying. It's like I think we get this misconception that if you're on the TV, then you're making like a ridiculous amount of money. But they're the ones. Why do you think all these NBA players have all these dang podcasts? Because they're making money outside of the traditional bread and butter. It's like people need to start getting online and making some money because well, he's doing car washes, but still thinking outside the box and doing things that don't seem as sexy as, you know, being on TV.
Yeah. Honestly, finding things that AI can't do is also an important pivot to be ready for. Even if you're not walking in the pivot right now, you need to be ready for the pivot because it's coming. And just like,
well, it's here. It's all fully blown here. Let me tell you something about AI. Robert came to me today. My husband is a software engineer. He said software engineering is about to be obsolete very soon. I now am structuring my business and, you know, future career goals on switching up, like doing a different lane, but still using his skill sets. It's like not only finding a job that where AI is not immediately going to take over. Eventually it will. So finding how to do your job with AI, being a pioneer in that as soon as possible is a way to do that. So I would not shy away from it because you don't want to be looking up trying to figure out where's my job. You know what I'm saying?
So like you need to be ready. Like you need to be ready to pivot when it's time to pivot. And I think if you're the type who you have a hard time with pivoting or change, start working on that now. Because the way the world is going, you have to be able to change. You have to be able to pivot or you will be left behind. And we don't want anyone to be left behind. So even if your business is going really, really well, you need to have a backup because AI is taking over. Things are becoming automated. Like even with our podcast, like we had an editor before. Now AI can edit our video for us.
I know.
Almost,
and it's
if not better than the editor. So that's a stream of income that he's not getting anymore. And that's just being real. He was great, right? But if I could push a button and AI edits our video in 30 minutes,
way less than that. Yeah.
You got to be able to pivot. So I appreciate these artists, singers, basketball players who are like, yeah, this is what made me my first million, but let me find what's going to make me my next 20, you know? So that's like I said, if we pivot, it's because we're trying to stay relevant, y'all.
Exactly.
Well, go ahead, Leonie.
Okay. No, that was it. That's all I had to say for T-Pain, I believe.
So, in this whole vein of things, this is like content that we've been listening to this week, clearly. But I was watching the interview and I rarely watch The Breakfast Club, if I'm being honest. I very rarely watch them. But
That's that is not on me. I watch it I wake up in the morning like an old person. I turn on front page news, the first thing, and then I listen to all of the mess, all the Jess with the mess and all that stuff.
I don't.
It's part of my morning routine.
Leonie puts me on game most of the time. But this particular interview I did catch. It was with the Red Lobster CEO. His name was like, I'm not even gonna try. Okay.
Let me see.
They didn't pronounce it right.
We're gonna say Demola. I think that's how you say his first name.
Well, if you look up Red Lobster's CEO, you'll find him.
Yeah. Right, he's everywhere right now.
Yeah. But did you listen to his whole like story of how he became the CEO?
I heard the whole interview. I've gleaned some things, but do you want to take it away?
So this guy's 36 years old. Okay. Yeah. And he has been the CEO of PF Chang's.
Yes.
And now Red Lobster. So that's not That's a big accomplishment at his age. And so he started in like investment banking.
Yes, I was going to say he was an investment banker first.
Yeah, he was he worked in like restaurant when he was a kid, but he's Nigerian. His family came here. He's first generation. No, I think he's not even first generation because he was born in Nigeria and then came here. He did high school here. His dad's like a neurosurgeon. So education was like already a required, like A's were low. You know, you need
like your dad's a doctor and you're Nigerian. I mean,
so he already was like, he knew he was going to be great, pretty much, and he is. So anyway, he started doing that. The investment firm that he works for bought P.F. Chang's before the pandemic. It was his idea. He brought the pitch.
That's right.
To them. He said, I think you should buy P.F. Chang's for this and this reason. Buys P.F. Chang's. Pandemic hits. P.F. Chang's starts to go downhill. They lost their CEO during the pandemic. So then the investment firm asked him to take over because it was his idea to buy it. He was able to turn it around. He was able to turn P.F. Chang's around. So then a couple years later, Red Lobster was going through bankruptcy. And so after bankruptcy, they wanted to, of course, pivot. So they asked him to come consult because they saw that he was able to revive a struggling big restaurant chain before. They wanted his advice. He brings them a plan. They said, okay, great. Can we hire you to come execute the plan? So that's how he ended up the CEO of Red Lobster. Now, I don't know how it's pivoted yet, but I want to go. So something's working, right? I'm about to go.
So listen. I love what he's doing. And I can't wait to see it thrive. And so he talked about how he's improving the service. He talks about how like the whole experience from top to bottom, from when you walk in until you leave, all that is being updated. However, I'm an ambiance person. If the ambiance is not right, I'm not really going to feel comfortable. I don't care how good the food is or how good the service is. That's me. So I really want him to like really go hard on revamping the atmosphere and changing the decor and stuff and bringing it up to date.
He talked about that. He did. Yeah,
he did. There wasn't enough urgency for me when he talked about it.
I'm sure remodeling all like 20 million of their locations might take a little bit of time. But
I mean, it could happen it could happen simply, honestly. When you have a chain, you have a design basically template, and you have all the pieces for it, for your flooring, for your wall, for your tables, all of it. And then you just take that template, maybe get a couple of different variations, hire contractors, bam, bam, bam. If you have the money, I think it would be more of a money issue.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think the concept part is what's hard, but I'm saying timeline wise, that doesn't happen overnight, right? I'm sure they have to start with certain locations, see how the design works there, then roll it out, to the rest of their locations. So they might have some updated ones that just aren't in our areas, right?
They might.
I don't think Texas is probably where they would start. They'll probably start in an area where they get most traffic, probably California. I don't think I've seen a Red Lobster here, or I haven't run into it. So there must not be many.
I have no idea where there's a nearest Red Lobster. I only see them in like small towns.
Okay. So I see them in Cali. Like my godparents love Red Lobster. So
like Robert's grandma goes to Red Lobster, but she's in Wichita Falls. So
yeah. So they may have started, it just isn't near us. But I know he mentioned that one of the big things that they said they wanted to do is remember when they were last successful and what made them successful. When Red Lobster was at its height, and because I remember back in the day, that was like fine dining. Like, oh, we going to Red Lobster. We get cheddar biscuits. Yeah. Or like when you were in college or high school and you want to go to like a nice place with your friends, that's where you went. I remember in college, we were getting the cheddar biscuits.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, we was going to Cheesecake Factory, so that's where we would go for special events.
Okay, using the grant money. Okay.
Red Lobster special. Red Lobster special events were in elementary school for me.
No, I went
in like junior high.
When I was in school in Miami for that year, we were all like, my going away party was at Red Lobster. Like we were Red Lobstering.
Okay.
But one thing that he said that made them stand out back when they first launched was this was a reachable fine dining for the average person. So if someone doesn't want to spend
within reach, yes,
if you don't want to spend $400 at this bougie restaurant, this was the next tier. And so he said he wants to bring back that fine dining experience. He did more research. He said if we can't provide them the bougie experience that they're expecting, we're going to pull up the reins when it comes to service and hospitality. We're going to up that. So it sounds like he's trying to level it up. So I'm excited.
I think so. Listen, I know that America needs to work on service in general, because I went to, when me and Robert went to Cancun, that service was like, never experienced such attentive people in an establishment before in my life. I'm like, if you can get it on that level, it was, the resort was called Unico. Very, very nice. Unico Resort. If you can get it to at least that level, man, yes. That's just a friendly place to be. It just feels warm at that point.
I like it. One thing that he said that I didn't know, he said that they buy 25% of all fresh seafood, crabs, lobsters. They buy 25% of it in the country. And so because of how much
that's a lot.
Yeah. Because of how much they're buying, they get top choice of the top seafood. So people don't realize Red Lobster has the top stuff.
Right. It's like fresh seafood. Okay. Well, listen. I would like to give it a try. Okay. And then maybe we can an outing. Yes.
We're going to
put it on social media. I would like to give it a try. And when I come out to Houston, we can go. We got to find one.
Yeah. And I guess it's out here.
And then say like if it was fresh, because sometimes the seafood may be good and fresh, but if it's got too much other stuff on it, then you can't feel the freshness. So we'll see. He seems like he has a plan, and I trust his plan. I don't know why, but I believe him. Yes, I mean, he's experienced, so I believe in him. For sure, he could turn it around. We'll see.
Yeah.
As long as the carpet feels clean, I'll be okay. Yeah. I don't like carpet in restaurants.
No, listen, I've never been a Red Lobster girl like this part of my life, this era of my life.
Right.
But listen, I might
especially in Houston, because I mean,
there's so many restaurants. But listen, if they have the top stuff, I'm gonna try it out. One thing that he said that stood out to me, and it makes me think about this whole thing that we're talking about. He said he made sure that he studied enough to be dangerous. And that he became the person he needed to be. And this is why I don't really look, Charlamagne. I don't know if you're listening to this or not. I hope you do, and then talk about us on the show. Okay. Anyway, sometimes Charlamagne and stuff, like his little comments, I'm just like, be quiet.
I mean, he's used to it.
The CEO, it's annoying. I'm just like, shh. But the CEO said something like, sometimes being in these rooms with these like big level people, like he went to school with Ivy Leaguers who grew up around trust funds and investing, and like this was their regular life. And so he said that, it can be intimidating being in those rooms where he didn't come from that. He didn't come from that type of background. And so he said, this is when he said, sometimes you have to fake it, right? And Charlamagne's like, oh, so you're being fake? Like, Charlamagne, like, oh my God. Like, that's not what he's saying. And so the CEO, Demola, I think it's his name, he didn't blink at Charlamagne trying to make this a negative, and it's clearly not, okay? Charlamagne, anyway. And he pivoted, and he said, no, it's not being fake. He's like, I just did my best because this wasn't normal to me. So I had to show up and study enough to be dangerous and be the person I needed to be, who I wanted to be, right? Just be it. So even if it doesn't come second nature like it did to some of his friends, it doesn't matter. He was going to make sure that he studied. Maybe he didn't grow up with it, but I'm going to catch up, right?
Right.
And I liked that because that's how you pivot properly. Like just like T-Pain, he studied for years before he relaunched whatever his businesses were. Like, you got to study. You got to know your stuff. You got to know who's doing it well. And how they're doing it, and what did they mess up at, so I don't have to mess up that way,
Right.
Listen to Giggles and Goals. We're gonna tell you, So
exactly. We're coming to get all your business news.
Yeah. But you were telling me something your mentor told you. What did your mentor tell you?
Yeah. So I remember way back in the day, back when I was a young tadpole in my early 20s, and she was talking. I was wanting to know, like, how do you get experience as being a director? And like in your C-level or just higher level things, especially just starting out. And she was like, if you want to show that if you want to get to that level, you have to show that you could solve problems, essentially. And so you have to do something where you have to take on a challenge so you can basically bring something back from the dead. So she's talked about when she got her first director role, it was a nonprofit and it was in shambles. and she had to go and turn it around, and she went and she did. So I basically took that same advice when I had my first director role, where like it's something, this was a hot ass mess and we got to turn this around. And when you take that hot ass mess, but you're with somebody who really wants to make a change, they're going to implement everything you say to do. And I had a conversation with this business owner a few weeks ago, and she was like, we still use everything that you taught us how to do. We do this, and this. We upgraded to this. Da, da, da. It was like she was just going on and on about how helpful it was. And it's like she was in dire straits at the time. And so that tip from my mentor really, really helped. So don't shy away from, it's like, oh, don't worry, there is a mess. It's like, if you were going to actually go and make a difference, and that's what you want to be able to get to that command level, then you've got to take something and show that you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we were talking a little bit about like companies that didn't evolve well. And I think I like to learn from them, because we all experienced it, especially being millennials. Like, we're the only generation who grew up without technology, and then we also grew up with it, right?
Right.
We have the mix of both in us. And so we've seen a lot of businesses pivot well, and they're still around. And we see those ones that are like, what happened to them? Like, where'd they go? Because they didn't evolve properly. So if these big businesses need to evolve to stay successful, so do you in any part of your life. If you're an entrepreneur or not, you got to know when something isn't working for you, something isn't serving you, and pivot. So the companies that stand out to me, and we can go back and forth on this list, Leonie, that didn't work out, and I wish they would have, because there's no reason they should not still be here.
Right.
Blockbuster,
it's like, what was y'all doing? Like, y'all, like that. First of all, Netflix it was Redbox first, and then Netflix came and just snug up and snatch all y'all's by your edges.
I remember when Blockbuster went down, because we were in college. We were at Seaside. Because I remember having DVDs. I remember they went out of business, and I went and bought up all, because they were like $5 DVDs. I had like,
first of all, that was too expensive.
Well, I had like 20 DVDs at my house, and my parents' house actually, that I bought when they shut down. So I was in college. So funny. I've never even watched them. So I should have realized, hey, if they're shutting down, I probably don't need these.
It's like, y'all was not on to whoever was in charge of their, innovation. They sucked tremendously, because it's like, how are you not going? I guess it's like, that's when you get in that place, going back to the AI thing. If you like, well, that is a new thing that's not going to come into this lane. It's not going to come over here. Understand that technology is going to go in every single lane eventually. So you better prepare the lane.
Yeah. So they dropped the ball. Okay. There's no reason. When Blockbuster, like, it literally innovated movie watching back in the day. And the fact that they were at one point innovators, and then got so confident that they were the innovators that they got caught slipping.
Exactly. That's where you start to, I said earlier, when you start to get stagnant, when the competition starts to come in, it just makes what your business doing less potent. You got to pivot. It's like when Netflix came on the scene, it wasn't, or Redbox came on the scene, it also was Netflix. Netflix used to mail it to you. So remember Netflix.
Remember the late fees that Blockbuster used to charge?
How much were they?
Oh my God. If you didn't return it on time, you pay like $100. Like,
that's insane. Did Netflix do away with late fees when they came out? When they were mailing it to people? Because you didn't get new ones until you mailed it in.
What did Redbox do?
Redbox just became like a vending machine, but Netflix started off by mailing it. No, it was Netflix that mailed it to you first.
Is Redbox and Netflix the same thing?
No.
I remember the little envelope. That was Netflix. It would come in little envelopes. I thought you could return them somewhere. I thought you could return them in the vending machine. Was it mail only?
Maybe. I don't know. I know that my mom, like, she was up on it first, and she would get. And I remember going to Blockbuster like every Saturday or Sunday. It was a thing. We would be in there shopping for movies that we were going to watch that weekend. Too. It was like a whole thing, and I would like go back and read the covers and all that stuff. I'm like,
it really was. I have some DVDs downstairs right now. I don't know why I'm keeping them.
From Blockbuster?
No. Maybe. Actually.
They're going to charge you a $50,000 late fee from 2001.
Maybe. Like, really maybe. But yeah, Redbox came around there. Actually, I still see Redboxes in the grocery stores.
I see them in front of Walgreens. They're shut down.
Yeah. Oh, they don't work. I never looked at it, but I see the machine. I see
they're shut down. And I used to go to Redbox too. It's like it just turned into a Blockbuster vending machine.
Yeah.
But once streaming came about, it's like bump all of this. I don't even like going to the movie theaters anymore. I wish that they would put things straight to streaming.
Movie theaters aren't evolving quick enough either. Like,
I know.
I don't even know when movies premiere in theaters. Like, there's been a couple movies that Black people are in, so I'm like, let me go to the theaters.
Listen,
that's literally
Cinemark should do. So they should do at-home movie setup. So you can get like a sound bar or whatever. You can get like a whole thing, and then you could either rent it out or you could buy it, and then somebody can come and just set it up at your house, or you can get it mailed or whatever. They should just set it up. It's like, I want it a at-home experience.
Or if they make renting their theaters like easier or more like average person accessible, that might be a great pivot for movie theaters.
Like instead of all, you know, like I could like, hey, I might like it if it was less people
and like we could rent
they like pods. Oh, like those karaoke things, but it's like for movies. I like that, where it's like just a bunch of small rooms, and just your close people could go in there, and it's like you can have, you already have food and all that, but it could be like sleepover style.
Yeah, like if you don't want people in your house like that, you know what I mean? Like you can be like, oh, let's go to the movies, and it's just us. That's how they should pivot, because I would go to the theater for that. Like if I
would too.
It's just me and my boo, or just me and my girl.
Party, date night, party centric. Yes,
and it's
I like
just
that.
Us. I mean, I still go to the movies sometimes. I do, but usually when I go, I'm like, what's even playing? Like it's not much.
I mean, there's a lot of movies that I wanted to see. Like I haven't seen the Keke Palmer SZA movie yet. One of them days.
It's streaming already.
It is?
Yeah, I saw it.
On what? On what?
For the Prime.
Okay, I will go there this week and watch it, because I really want to see that. So I will do that. And so I guess that's the compromise, is things come out in streaming faster. It used to be like, now it's like maybe 8 weeks or less, 6 to 8 weeks. Some used to be like 3-6 months. It used to be.
Some, what they'll do is they'll launch them at the same time, but they'll charge you to watch it on TV. Like it would be like $30.
True. Yeah, and I'm okay with that if I really want to see it. If I really want to see it, I'll do that. Otherwise, I'll just wait till it's free.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure I go to the movies sometimes. I probably go at least twice a month. But that's only because
that's a lot.
Because it's a date night alternative, you know. But I'm usually just watching whatever. I just want to go to the movie. I just want to go outside. But the theaters, I think, need to pick up their pivot. They need to pivot. Yeah. They need to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
So if y'all use our idea, slide us our dollars. Okay.
Or at least let us be in a commercial.
Yeah. I think late pivoters, they're starting to, but they're late on it. It's all the other car brands outside of Tesla. Because the Toyotas, the Fords, they're all starting to have electric cars now, but they're just starting now. So the technology isn't at Tesla level. So that's the thing. They're behind on the tech. Like one of my friends just got the electric Honda, and she's only had it like a month, and it's back in the shop, and it's brand new.
Yikes.
Because it's having issues, because they're new to this field. Like all the car brands are trying to do it now. Like, oh, we see where this is going. So they're trying to rush and create an electric car now when they should have been on top of this. You know what I mean? So they're not the top choice for electric.
No, I really don't know where this is going to be headed, because I mean, with going green, it's not really on folks' agenda anymore. It doesn't seem like. So I don't know where it's going to go.
The thing is, at this point, we know like gas prices are so unreliable.
Right.
You kind of need to know that there's an electric option for you. And so it's just like, I think all the car brands, because I would love to, like, I have a Tesla. I got it before Elon was in office. Let's be clear. But make that statement. But I have a Tesla. I love it.
First of all, he's not even in office. Well, he's not supposed to be in office.
Depends on who you ask. Listen, I want to ask his little boy. I don't know if you saw his little boy. Anyway,
oh yes, he was
that's who I want to interview.
He said, "Why are you? You're not the president. You're not supposed to be here." Like, okay. And out of the mouths of babes comes the truth.
My goodness, his little boy cracked me up. But nonetheless, I bought my car before then. But I love my Tesla. I think the only, if I were to give a critique on it, is if you drive more often, having to stop and charge is kind of annoying. But I work from home a lot, so I just leave mine plugged up so it doesn't get low very often.
Yeah, and I don't like that for long distance. When Robert was driving a Tesla, when he first was doing his commute between Houston and Austin, like he would have to stop so much. He had to charge it before he left. He had to charge it when he was at work. He had to charge it on his way back home. I'm like, that's only a 2.5 hour drive. Like,
so it's not a commuter car. It's
no.
I don't drive very often. I run errands. That like it's like a casual car. It's not I drive to work all the time.
It's a glorified go-kart.
Yeah, but I promise you, I love it. Like, I don't have to go to the gas station. I don't have to pay if gas prices go up. I don't care. Like, it doesn't impact me. I don't have to get oil changes. I don't have to maintenance it. I don't have to worry about no filters. Nothing.
That's funny.
And for me to not be like, I did not do well with car maintenance with all my other cars. Like, I don't know what a transmission is. Like, I don't know what it does. I don't want to change the filter. I don't want to do anything. So the fact that all I have to do is get in this car and go, I love it. But I absolutely wish that, like, I'm a Toyota girl. I've always been a Toyota girl. Like, I wish Toyota had like a really good option, but their options aren't as good as Tesla because they waited on starting their research,
And people's other options don't be sexy. But I do want to try Cadillac's option. They're good. And then Audi, it seems like they have a good electric option. At least
I don't want to be the first round. I need it to be like their fifth round before.
They've been out. Audi e-tron's been out for a while.
Okay.
I think I could be wrong, but it could be the Cadillac Lyriq potentially. I've seen that been out for a bit. Okay. So yeah, it's not brand new. I haven't heard anything about it.
The BMW, they've had theirs out a few years, but it's not great.
Okay.
Like, I almost bought it. I test drove it. It's super cute, but it doesn't give you, because Tesla gives you like, I could have paid for an extended range, but I literally did the base package. Okay. So I get, like, on a full charge 270 miles, right?
Can you upgrade when, or you have to get a whole new car for that?
I'm not sure. I think you can add an extender, so I probably can't upgrade. So I get about 270 miles. So if I'm driving every day, I probably charge every other day or something like that, or every 2 days if I'm charging at night while I'm sleeping. But the BMW only got like 150, and then with the extender it's like 170. So you're having to charge that car like.
I'm not interested in making all those stops
every time.
No.
That was even more stops than what I'm already dealing with. So I'm like, no thanks. But anyway,
no.
I just wish I did other car brands like Honda. You fail, okay? Honda, you fail. Because the fact that my friend barely had her car a month and is acting up, twerking out, tripping. Come on,
twerking out, tweaking
out, all the things. It was doing all the. It was doing both. Okay,
twitching.
Yeah, but another brand that I think tried to pivot but didn't pivot well. Walgreens. I don't know if you saw in the news this week, Leonie. Did you see anything about this?
Nope.
Walgreens. So, and when you think of pharmacies, you think of CVS and you think of Walgreens. Like, they're the top brands for pharmacies.
Yes.
They just were sold to a private brand. So they're not going to be a public traded company anymore. Guess how much? I mean, you can see how much they were sold for. But they only got $10 billion for that sale. Now, that's not like a lot of money to me and you. But for Walgreens is like worth way more. Like, back in the heyday, the top of the top, Walgreens is worth at least $100 billion. Like, it was it was one of two pharmacies across the world. Okay,
right.
On every block, every street, there's a Walgreens. That's billions and billions of dollars, and they only sold for $10 billion. It's funny because just in 2021, Walgreens, before they were bought out, they bought this medical company called Village Medical, which is all over the country. They bought Village Medical for $6 billion.
Oh, wow.
So they bought Village Medical, which isn't even nearly as big as them, for $6 billion. And then a few years later, they're sold for 10.
Now that puts things in perspective for me. That's kind of crazy.
Right?
It's like you bought this place, but then it didn't even bring up your value like that. Like, it should, if you should at least brought your value up significantly.
They probably were about to go bankrupt and they had to get out quick to get something. Even their investors, like, they're giving people like pennies on the dime for, like, people who have stocks.
Yeah.
In Walgreens, they're losing. Because like, the new company's like, hey, we're going to pay you out $1 per stock or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but pennies. So people are pissed.
That's crazy.
Because Walgreens just went down. So I don't know what happened with their pivot. I know when they bought the Village Medical brand, they were hoping to become like also like a doctor's office, right? Walgreens would be a pharmacy.
Really?
That was their vision behind it.
Oh, like One Medical? I wonder. How do you know what One Medical is?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes, I love that place.
Yeah. So I got this intel, this tea from my boo. Okay. He's
Dr. Boo.
Dr. Boo. That's what we're gonna call him on here. He's in the field, but I won't give his name just because like I don't know if it's inside. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell y'all. Okay.
Just shut up. Just say it. Just go ahead.
But he's the one who like mentioned, that's why it's even on my radar, because like he was talking about it. He was like, yeah, like the guy who sold Village got $6 billion, and then Wells Fargo turned around and only got 10. So he made the deal of a lifetime. But once he gave it to them, they didn't do well with it. So they had to get out quick. And man, they didn't pivot well.
That was not, so how could, how could you have pivoted as Walgreens? I guess so. There was a pharmacy that I had to go to for a special medication when I was pregnant. And I think the place was called Aloe. I think that's the name of it. But it's like it was by mail. Or it was like they would
I have some medicine like that. They mail it to you.
Not even by mail. It's like literally like that day. Alto. It was called Alto.
Okay.
You would get it and they would send it to your door like within hours. And that was really cool. I'm like, Walgreens, you could have pivoted, or whoever got it now, you got to pivot into something like hopefully.
Yeah. Even CVS. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but CVS had like a little medical unit in there. Like when you go in there, they have like a little doctor's office. I never see anyone over there.
I haven't been to CVS in a while because that used to be my jam, but now Walgreens is the ones that are closest to me.
We'll see how this new private company pivots them, because I don't think they're gonna liquidate the business.
Who is the private company who bought it?
I don't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up.
Okay,
but it's like an angel investor type of company. Oh, so okay. I wonder how they're gonna repurpose
revamp it.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, so we'll see, because that is my pharmacy, so we'll see if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, because apparently like CVS has like full like primary doctor, therapist, all that on staff. So I'm like, I didn't even know. So you guys are marketing this well.
I know,
but there are companies who pivoted well. Do you want to jump on that list?
Yes, let's talk about those who pivoted very well. So, we talked. So you put Netflix and Starbucks as trying.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Netflix is pivoting well.
Okay.
Starbucks, I don't know if you saw recently in the news, they're doing announcements.
No.
Yeah. So Starbucks had been having some issues because so many people are preferring, especially with us working remote, like the world is kind of working remote after the pandemic. People are wanting to go into coffee shops. Like that's like a thing. That's a whole culture, right?
Yeah.
The coffee shop vibe, to go sit and work from a coffee shop.
Yeah, they need more workspaces.
Yeah, so a lot of these smaller coffee houses were kind of taking over. You know what I mean? Because they're giving an environment, they're giving a vibe, they're giving an energy that's more than just the coffee.
You know what? And so where I used to live, Sunday Press. Have you been in there?
Yeah, I've been in there. It's cute. I
love that place. I mean, it's obviously people only go in there to work. It's like I only see people in there working, but it's such a vibe. Yes.
But Starbucks kind of didn't jump on that. If anything, they were doing the opposite. Like I remember at one point, like back before I even moved, so way before the pandemic, I would go to Starbucks sometimes to just like sit up and work. I would struggle to find an outlet.
And it would be cold. The seats were uncomfortable. It's like
find an outlet
loud.
To charge my computer, like stuff like that. So like they didn't want you to stay. They wanted to keep the movement, keep people to come. Like they wanted the flow of people coming and going, because that was the thing. And then it shifted to where people like, no, I want to engage with people. Like I work from home. I want to go work from a coffee shop. And Starbucks wasn't really creating an environment for people to choose this place to work from home, right? So was it 2 months ago they announced, and this is where I'm like, y'all trying it. They announced they changed their rules to where if you want to work in there and use their internet, you have to buy a drink. Now, for me, what's assumed doesn't need to be said.
Right. If I'm sitting here, why would I sit here and not buy something? I'm smelling drinks and I see scones. Like, what? Like,
so
there's no
I
such
think
thing.
they're doing it for like the couple of people who didn't. There's some people who like don't got the money like that, so they might not do that. But the majority of us, more than the majority, are going to get something.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm like, that's not hurt. I mean, that's not going to deter anybody.
Right. But they made it a rule. Like they announced it. This is a new policy. So it irritated me. Although I'm a buyer, I don't want to feel like if I don't want to buy right away. Like, what if I want to sit for a minute and get my drink in a minute? I don't need the cashier eyeing me.
It's like, no, you can get your drink right now.
Right. I don't need to feel uncomfortable. Like, oh, I didn't get my drink fast enough. Like, I want to get it later. So they dropped that statement. They got backlash. They undid it.
Oh my goodness.
They undid it. They took it away literally within like 2 weeks. So they pivoted quick.
Wow.
They wasted no time. They're like, oh, we sorry. So they took it away, and
people
now
don't like rules. Don't you know that?
Don't stress me out, okay? That's a private policy you should put in to where like I don't even need to know until it applies to me.
Right. Well, I don't even feel comfortable going to use the bathroom before I get a drink anymore because that's that whole debacle that happened a few years ago.
Right? Like, why are you rushing me? Like, let me get what I get when I get it. But anyway, so they did that, and then they're trying to bring us back. They want us to come sit in there more. So now they're like changing their policy. Like, there's some like all you can drink something option, like
all you can drink. And so now you want me to come in and pee all day? No, do better.
Like I said, Starbucks is trying.
Maybe they should pivot to drive-through only. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe add some new snacks. Because that's what I would like. I would like to have something without cheese, a sandwich without cheese on there. That would be great.
They need to up the quality of their drinks. Their drinks are giving watery. They've been giving watery for a minute.
I only get refreshers because I don't even do coffee like that.
No, their drinks get watery.
My sister got a pistachio latte or something the other day, and when she was here, and I tasted them like there's no pistachio. If you're gonna call it pistachio, it needs to taste like pistachios. I was irritated.
Listen, Starbucks is not. They're my. I'm in a rush. They're here. Let me grab it real quick. They're not my. I'm not going out my way anymore.
Starbucks. Okay, so I do like their. I'm hungry right now, so I'm gonna talk about food. I like their ham and cheese croissant. I like their like jelly filled croissant, the little cupcake croissant thing. Anyway, it's good. I like a lot of things from there. Well, but let's actually get into the people. Those aren't just the people who we still talking about people who didn't pivot well.
Well, I said they kind of pivot. They're sort of pivoting.
They have pivoted and then retracted because they're like, oh, that's a bad pivot. They didn't do the research on that. People don't want to hear. They can't. Okay. All right. So let's talk about people who pivoted well. YouTube pivoted.
Yes.
So initially, YouTube was designed as a video dating site.
Huh?
It pivoted to become the video sharing platform we know today in less than a week. So I guess we got to figure out the story on that.
YouTube started as a dating site?
Yes.
Mind blown.
And then Twitter started as Audio, which is a podcasting platform.
What?
When iTunes began dominating the podcast space, Audio pivoted to become Twitter, focusing on microblogging. So that's why you can do all those basically text. I didn't put this on here, but Instagram started as like a bourbon seeking app, like to seek where people were looking for products. You could post it on there and then like show where you got it or something like that.
What?
And so now it's how we know it today. Now it's what we know it as today, which is like, we share our lives with people. But it started off, I think, as bourbon or something like that.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen Facebook pivot.
And those are hard pivots. Like, that's just not an audience pivot.
That's a big pivot. Facebook pivoted. Like, I remember Facebook used to only be for college kids. Like, you had to have a college email address to even have a Facebook. I remember I got it my freshman year when I got my college CSUN email.
Right. Mine's is still CSUN. Yep.
Yeah. So I think mine might be too. So it started there. Then they pivoted they bought Instagram. So there's that collaboration. Now people can stream on there. It's like a whole world on.
And I don't know if I would classify that as a pivot. That seems more like a part of your your plan to scale. So like your scaling evolution, because
it up to everyone.
Yeah, because it's like when you go back to like the testing and measuring, where you start off with who your audience is, and then you realize, okay, now that we have this audience, the next phase is to open it up to everybody, and the next phase is to do meta or whatever. Like,
I wonder if that was a phase thing, because they literally built it for college kids. That doesn't sound. It's not like their mission was to create a social network for college age kids. Like they had to change their mission to open it up to everybody else, because their whole purpose was college kids. Like, I don't feel like, in my mind, they realized college community wasn't enough. And they're like, we need to, right? They're like, this isn't bringing us the money we need. We need to be bigger. And so they shifted their mission. And now I feel like my mom and them be on there more than.
Yeah, well, this definitely, they've evolved into the, what is it, boomer social media.
I mean, and another pivot of theirs is inquiring other social media brands. Like, they didn't want Instagram taking over, so they bought Instagram, right? That's a strategy. That was them being like, I can either let Instagram take over and I become irrelevant, or I can buy Instagram. And partner with Instagram, because if they hadn't, Facebook would be irrelevant. Like, at least to me, I don't really go on there like that, so it would have become irrelevant. I'm sure they tried to buy TikTok. I'm sure they put their hat in a ring. I'm like, maybe
where they're focused on Meta right now, which is they're going to basically wherever. Remember, like Ready Player One, did you see that movie, Ready Player One? I think they're going to be that. That's what their focus is on right now.
We shall see where it goes next, and if our kids are going to be on Facebook. Like, I wonder how long
they're going to be on Meta. They'll be on Meta.
We still gonna call it Facebook. Like, the kids will call it Meta. We'll be like, you mean Facebook? Just like Twitter is not Twitter anymore. What is it called?
I'm not going to acknowledge it.
I don't even know what it's called. I don't even know. I'm not even not acknowledge. I just don't know. But whatever Twitter's new name. I really don't know. I have no idea.
It's X. It's X. It's X, girl.
That's ridiculous. That's why I don't know. Like, ain't nobody calling it that. And hilarious. I don't know anyone who calls it that. Right. So.
Right. Anyway, nobody does.
I think for me, the biggest lesson that I got from all these lessons that we've been reading and talking about when it comes to pivoting is you must do it, be ready to do it, and do your research that you can do it well. Like, that's the silver lining, or the connecting line in all those stories that we shared, is all these people researched and then weren't afraid to pivot when things weren't going well, or weren't going the way they thought.
And sometimes the pivot is completely like 180. It doesn't have to be like we've pivoted in this like this attachment to this thing that is it's complementary to our service or to our whatever we're doing, whatever choice that we're making. But it's a completely different thing. But your vision is still aligned with whatever impact you want to have.
Yeah, it's good. So let's jump. We did a lot of talking, y'all. Let's jump to things that we wish we knew. You want to go first?
Yes. So I wish I knew the principles for pivoting a long time ago. Recently, I learned that pivoting should be based on validated learning and real metrics, not vanity metrics or intuition. And pivoting is not a random change, but a structured experiment to test a hypothesis about your future growth in life or business.
I like that. For me, I used to think that originality meant starting from scratch. Now I know originality is taking what works and making it your own. The smartest people in the game, they don't reinvent, they research. So instead of me reinventing the wheel or trying to be original or trying to be different, let me just figure out what works and put my spin on it. So
let me see. I'm about to find this quote. What's the quote about stealing? Like, good people do that.
Good people plagiarize.
What's the quote about stealing? Okay, go to the next segment, standing on business.
So this is a new segment. Leonie actually brought this. New segment. We're gonna figure out to add that noise for y'all. Anyway, this one's about like what's something from this episode or from this lesson that we're like, you know what? I don't care what nobody say. I'm standing on business, 10 toes down. Like that's what this is about.
Exactly.
Leonie, do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So doing it my way is cute. This is my stand on business. Doing it my way is cute until you realize that the pros already mapped out the best way. Success isn't gatekept. It's Googleable. Okay? So that's my stand on business, that I will Google it. I will find out. I'll research. And if you did it, I'm going to figure out how you did it. I'm going to do it too. Like that. Exactly. That's my stand on business. I will not steal anyone's concept that's different. But I will take your strategy and figure out how do I apply that strategy over here. So that's my stand on business.
So still you're the best parts of it, but have my own little sauce. I couldn't find the quote, but we'll say it on another podcast. Okay, so mine is, don't let anyone tell you let's start over. Don't let anybody tell you you're all over the place. It's your journey. You're finding your way. The process comes with pivots. Like, don't let people say like, oh, you need to, you're not, your head's in the clouds. You're just all over the place. You need to settle down this, It's your journey. Live your life. Figure out your stuff. Do your own research and testing and ideating. Don't let somebody stop you from needing to pivot because you're afraid of you looking, flighty. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. And honestly, also remember that you ain't for everybody. Everyone won't understand your mission and your journey.
Everybody ain't for you.
God didn't give everybody your call. And so just because someone doesn't understand you doesn't mean that they're right about you. Okay? They don't pray for your purpose and your success the way you do. So trust yourself. Trust the God in you that's telling you what to do. And don't worry about the naysayers or the little faith people. Okay?
Yes, the doubt droppers.
The doubt droppers. I like that. Don't be a doubt dropper. But our closing thoughts are, stop trying to start from zero when the blueprint already exists. So that's our last words for you.
Yes, that's our last words. And with that, make sure to subscribe.
Yes. Follow.
If you enjoy this content, follow us, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all those things.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Share, please. Yes. And if you want to hear more about how you can really take advantage of a pivot, click this next episode where we go deeper into Shaq and how the millionaires do it.
Yes, we do a whole profile on Shaq. So we got y'all.
Yes. All right.
Bye,
see you next time.
Love you.
Bye.
Oh,
what did you do? Oh. Let's see.
Did you see it?
I did. It was balloons.
Yeah.
Do. I know you can do a thumbs up. Mine isn't doing it this time. Maybe
I can't do it again. Love you. That's what I said last time. Anyway.
All right. Bye.